excited.
I'm so excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Welcome to Two Guys and a Goalie. Tom Gazzola in for Dustin Nielson, who's got the call tonight in Winnipeg. Bombers and Lions should be a great game, but we're going to be preoccupied with the Oilers and Panthers. Gager.
Right, there's a game tonight.
Hello, Gager. Joaquin Gage in studio here. Hernad Salas producing, and then Matt Kassian will be stopping by as well. You can text us 780-218-9999 as we get you set for a big game tonight. Of course, Two Guys and a Goalie presented by GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety driving their success. GS Construction has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become a part of the team. Visit www.gsconstruction.ca, click Ready to Work, or visit their page at indeed.ca with the Next Person Up program at GS Construction. It's not just a job, it's a career. Hello. Away we go.
All right.
Are you excited about tonight?
I'm sorry. I'm excited watching pros tough it because Rory looks like me out there right now.
We've got the ESTV going, and it's got Oakmont and the U.S. Open. It's crazy making, like I said it on Hangout, but making par is tough at this course. And par means something.
Oh, huge.
I don't mind watching them get beat up by the course.
I don't like when they start whining about it, though. Like
I kind of laugh at it.
Yeah, I do too.
They're so good.
Yeah. And how much fertilizer do they put in that rough for it to be that thick?
Oh,
like
it's just juicy.
It's like your hair, Tommy.
Yeah.
It's so thick and luscious.
Yeah. Good luck getting a wedge through there.
They prefer playing on chapeaus like myself, and then it's easy.
Chapeaus like yourself. Cass is good to go. Let's welcome in Matt Kassian. You're going to be able to see him tonight and hear from him tonight on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pre- and post-game shows. What's up, Cass? We're just talking about the U.S. Open and how tough the conditions are at Oakmont. And we don't mind watching golfers, the best of the best, struggle.
Yeah, it makes them look human, doesn't it? Finally.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, finally something. So it's kind of a good feeling. I'm like, now I don't feel so bad when I shoot mid-90s. I'm like, yeah, it's actually okay.
You are an athlete.
With that being said, if I was playing on that course, like a 150 maybe, right? Like that's that's what we're looking at, like just shredding all of us. But yeah, it's kind of fun. I don't like them complaining about it either. I'm like, yeah, just suck it up. Like your scores are a little higher. It's a tough course. Play the course better. So I don't know. It's kind of fun.
Just a quick update for everybody out there listening or watching. JJ Spawn leads the way at -4. All right, boys. Game 4 tonight between the Oilers and the Panthers. A lot to discuss. We've got lines for the Oil, a couple of changes. And I'm going to start with this. Just the general tone from the team after 2 days between games. The practice yesterday where the big stars went and skated, and they're supposed to be, it was the official word from PR. I know this became a thing, boys, and Belsey kind of sounded nice. He's like, I don't care. I don't care if the media complained. I don't care if the team said one thing but did another. The official word, just to get it on the record, from the team was Chris Knobloch speaks via Zoom at 10 a.m. This is for yesterday. No player availability. It didn't say they weren't skating. It didn't say there was no practice. It didn't say they didn't have ice. So then when everybody scrambled and found out they were on the ice, it became a whole to-do. And listen, I'll always stick up for our media brethren and our peers, but at no point did they say, no ice, players aren't skating. They just said no player availability. So I know it became a big thing. Cass, what did you make of the no media gate or whatever you want to call it?
I just don't care. Like, I mean, I do. I feel bad because it's like the people that are there and that are trying to cover, like, kind of throws them for a loop, right? When they're anticipating one thing. But at the end of the day, I don't think they were trying to deceive. They just said, yeah, players weren't going to be available. So
yeah, basically.
Yeah. End of the day.
You probably were at the rink anyways. You would have been at the rink anyways. Would you not have been? Like, would you not have been there ready for the Florida practice, or do you just go to the beach right after it was done? So
that's a good point. Are you there for the Florida practice, even though your beat is the Oilers?
It's like these pros hitting out of the rough, really, with the complaining. But actually, if you really take a few steps back and look at it, they should be thanking the Oilers for giving them something to talk about, other than the same messages you would probably get from Leon and Connor, anyways. So there was. Yeah. You're welcome for something a little bit different to talk about, and then back to work the same thing.
And you guys know that. I know, Gager, did you play at that rink? You must have played at that rink in Sunrise.
No. Never.
Okay.
Or no, I played at the old one.
At the old one, which was in Miami.
In Miami, yeah.
So and okay, Cass, you'd be a little bit more familiar with the setup in Florida. Like, now they have that practice rink, which just opened a year or two ago, which apparently is fantastic. But the arena's in Sunrise, which is like a 25 to 30-minute drive from Fort Lauderdale, where most teams stay, which is a 20 to 35-minute drive from Miami, where some teams also stay. It's like the logistics suck in and around that area. But that's not the team's problem, either team. That's a you problem if you're trying to cover, right? So I don't, like, be prepared. And you're right, Gager, like, if you're covering the final, maybe you want to be at the Panthers practice facility. And, oh, by the way, the Oilers have ice, because they give them ice every day. Yeah. It's not like they don't have ice. Ice is provided, and guys do skate. But when the guys hit the ice, you had McDavid and Draisaitl out there and some other regulars. Cass, we'll start with you. What do you think that says to everybody?
Well, they're ready to go here. There's been a couple days in between games. If we go back to McDavid's comment about how they feel their best is still to come in the series, and it really is. Like, it really is. Their best is still to come in the series. So, what does it say to me? It says, I think mentally they're chomping at the bit to get back out there. And I think the big boys want to have a big game. And that's a good thing for the Edmonton Oilers if they're in that mentality.
Gager, what do you think when you see what happened yesterday?
That there's some healthy bodies in that group, because I think the only person that didn't skate was Nuge, like the notables. That just shows that Connor and Leon both feel really good. Probably, to me, it seems like if your big dogs are going on an optional skate, they're sending a message indirectly to everyone else. Because you would feel so guilty if you didn't go, in a sense, if they're going, and I think indirectly it's a move by the leadership group to get everyone engaged and focused. Not that they weren't, but just an extra little shove. That's how I kind of look at when the big dogs go out there, and we'll see if it helps them tonight.
780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. What say you? We've had a couple of texts come in regard to heading into tonight. CB Radio guy says, hey, guys, I did this last game, and I take full responsibility for the Oilers losing. But heck, I'm doing it again. I guarantee a win tonight. No way Connor and Leon let this slip away again. And it's the last sentence from CB Radio guy that I kind of want to chew on with you guys. I noted Draisaitl. They were going across the screen with the pan on the bench, and there were shenanigans happening on the ice at the time, and I could see Leon. He kind of like puckered up his lips, and he was just like that, had that 1,000-mile stare, and he was nodding his head. And knowing him, you know, as much as I do, like, you kind of get to know what makes a guy tick, and I'm seeing him kind of like take this all in with this like puckered look, and I was like, oh, he is pissed off. This is gonna fuel him. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's all those shots of them sitting side by each, Connor and Leon, with the 1,000-yard stare, and there's been bounce back games in the next game with both of them. But it's a fine line too, and I'll ask you this too, Cass. You played with some pretty good players. When you see them kind of get into great white shark mode, the eyes roll back and they get ready to play, but they can't. They can't put the weight of the team on their shoulders as well, too. They have to rely on their teammates in a sense to beat the Florida Panthers. So I don't want to see Leon try to get the puck and go through the neutral zone and go through 8 guys, right? Like
that's fair, yeah.
But he'll feel like he needs to do that. I think sometimes you got to find that balance of using your teammates also with the fact that you're going to bring your game to another level.
Yeah. But we've also seen them be able to go through whole teams. You don't want him to do it unnecessarily, though, right? Like, but if Connor, if he's got that head full of steam and he wants to be aggressive and attack, like, freaking go nuts, man. Let him attack, because those guys, when they're engaged and at that level, they're best players in the world. To me, it's such a balance. It's like the let's call it Tingle. You want Tingle rage, right? And I hope that's where Leon's at, right? Like you don't want out of control anger rage. Like that's when you make mistakes. That's when you throw pucks. That's when you force things and you try to do too much yourself. But you want that Tingle rage going, right? Like where it's just you're not totally seeing red. Like you still have full cognizant mental decision-making capacity, but that adrenaline is firing. There's some studies that were done. I can't remember exactly when they were done. Horrible studies that you probably would never really be able to do again, but triggering people's nervous systems in their brain, like parts of their brain with electrodes, essentially. And they found the one that when people were given control of what areas of their own brain they could stimulate over and over and over and over and over again was the mild irritation and frustration center of your brain.
Really?
Because well, that's, if you think about it, just why is the social media and Twitter and the nasty chat, like why is it always that people are like on that mild frustration and annoyed and will just get looped into that stuff, is because the motivational systems in your brain are designed to fire your neuroepinephrine and your dopamine. So basically it's like your reward system and not reward, but your motivation system in your brain is like in its best mode when you're in that mild irritation mode. And so it's kind of like you don't want them to be raging and losing it, but you want them to be annoyed, right? You want them to be pissy, as it were, a little bit, and to play with that edge and that attitude, but not go straight into the, we're just going to lose it mindset. So I hope that's where they're at. And I think it's a sign for me, if they are going out in the optional skate, that they're kind of feeling that they're like, yeah, we're going to be ready. We're going to show everyone we're going to be ready. We want to lead the way and make sure that people are on the ice. We've had a couple days in between games, so let's be freaking ready to go. I mean, that to me is what the message that they're trying to send. Yeah, no, I can't see anything. I don't agree with you there, Cass. That's it's a huge game. You're really going to find out something about this team tonight. That's what I'm kind of looking forward to, right? This is the biggest game of their careers, I would say. I don't like the idea of going down 3-1 against this Panthers team.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just the way that they're playing. And look, the Panthers are playing at a very high level too. Can they still maintain the level that they're playing at? That's what I'm interested to see too. Like the Oilers have had 2 days of thinking, gosh, we didn't play well, we got to play better. But the Panthers are sitting there, everyone's praising them. We're playing great. We're under their skin. Nothing's going wrong. Let's see how they respond with the praise for 2 games. And maybe if they start believing some of that stuff without some work, the Oilers can really take advantage of a team possibly feeling really good about themselves.
I want to jump in on that because, do you guys feel this is kind of like where Edmonton sat after game 1, all this confidence and momentum, and people are heaping praise on them. Oh, they're going to do it. This is the year. And then the other thing that stood out to me, Gage, and you said them skating yesterday is a sign that they're healthy.
Yeah.
That's important because there's been talk about the, illness. Apparently that's not true. I had to check in. People are like, oh, they're sick. No, there was a bug like a few weeks ago. Knobloch had it a week or two ago and sounded horrible, but the health thing is important, being dialed in, and then the best game, like them being irritated. And I will add these stats for you guys to chew on. Most career points in playoff games following a loss. Connor McDavid, 4th all-time among active players, 66 points in 36 games following a loss in the postseason. That's good for 1.83 points per game. Draisaitl is 8th at 1.5 points per game following a loss, also in 36 games, like McDavid. He's got 54 points. How much does that factor in where they do just take over tonight?
I mean, you look at numbers like that. You look at we'll get into goaltending numbers later too. Mm-hmm. It's all signs point towards the Oilers having a really good game. I know we kind of talked about yesterday, Hernan and I, game 1 last year. You're looking for kind of a performance like that, right? Where they just basically dominated for the better part of that game. Ran into a goalie though. And look, I hate to say this, but there's no reason to get goalied at this point of the year. You have to do something pretty special to get the puck past goalies at this point, usually anyways. But there can't be any passing up opportunities to get the puck on net. In the most cases with Bobrovsky, and although they've beat him clean from distance at times, you have to have the mindset of looking for second chance opportunities. Not unlike was it the Leon's first goal in game 1 where it was the
rebound?
Just a Wallman kind of placing it.
And then Kapanen tries to stuff it, bounces out to Leon.
But what happened with that, I believe, just experience. Puck comes, there's guys coming to the net. Bobrovsky's trying to control the rebound, and in doing that, actually lets out a rebound, right? He doesn't have that extra pressure. Oh, I can't put it over there, but it ends up going over there, and then they start scrambling. Second chance opportunity, Leon puts the puck in that. But what happens there is you have guys going, sharks floating in the water, and looking for those rebounds, essentially. So that's what I'd like to see, not just try to set up those perfect plays where you can pass into the back of them.
You want to jump on that, Cass?
No, I think Gager, as the resident goalie, covered it pretty good.
It was quite good.
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, I don't Gager's too smart. Yeah, I don't got to add anything.
He's very smart. Okay, we got some questions that have come in. Text us 780-218-9999. Some good questions, actually. And get to the nasty chat as well. It's two guys and a Gazzola.
It is.
Two guys and a goalie, Gazzola, Gage, and Kassian with you. Hampton Steve texts in and says, what has everyone's thoughts been on Evander Kane's performance this playoffs? I think he's been solid outside of going on tilt last game. Do you think his good performance makes the organization think twice about keeping him around for next season? I don't know if we want to jump ahead to next season. I'll quickly add, I don't think the game plan changes. I think they want to move on from him, but I'd have to double check. Last I heard, that was the plan. But his performance in these playoffs, guys, I think is a more important part of this question from Hampton Steve. Cass, start with you there.
Yeah, his performance in the playoff has been much better than I expected. It's been very, very good for the most part. Yes, 2 bad penalties. Mm-hmm. Can't take those. Was part of the chaos and part of everyone losing it. But as a whole, he's been really good. A pleasant surprise. I completely agree with you. I think they do still want to move on from him, and it's even beyond. Not that we want to look to next season, but beyond pleasant that he's playing extremely well right now, because that does make it easier if you need to move on from him, potentially, to find someone that's willing to take that contract on, where it's like, okay, look, he's still got jump, he's still got jam, he's still got the ability to be a difference maker in the playoffs. That it makes it easier if that's what you want to do. And, is the bigger thing, I would say he is helping you right now more than he's hurting you. Again, those penalties, not good. The whole team wasn't good, so it's not just on him. But his performance has been good. He's been absolutely rock solid, I would say, this playoffs.
Joaquin?
Yeah, I know that there was the the rumors of moving on from him and trying to move it.
There was a trade at the deadline that he kiboshed.
Okay. So looking at him, sitting out a whole year and the way he has performed it's incredible. I didn't expect him to get up to speed of his game so quickly. I thought he could do it. I did think he could do it because he's a talented hockey player, but just to have an effect in all 3 series up to this point, he's been great. And you know, it's funny because now when you see what he can bring when he's on, there's a part of me thinks, well, it's only one more year. It's what, $5.2 million. That's not too bad for a guy that, I mean, you could probably pencil in 20, 25 goals next year, definitely, and that's without power play time. I might have time for Evander Kane in an Oilers uniform next year, but if something comes along where, I mean, he's not getting any younger, there is the injuries. Are they they come back again? If the opportunity arises to possibly get a little bit younger, with the same skill set, it's tough to find a guy that can that looks after his teammates. We saw what he's doing in the playoffs, getting in the face of other players. That's really very tough to replace. But that's up to the management and scouting staff to try to replace those intangibles that don't always show up on the score sheet or the game notes by the end of the game that he provides.
6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points through 18 playoff games, +5, 30 penalty minutes for Evander Kane. Has been highly effective this postseason. No denying that. Hampton Steve, thank you for the question. 780-218-9999. And let's take a look at this one. Collingwood Rob says, with Hyman and Nugent-Hopkins nicked up, how important is it that McDavid put some pucks into the net? Seems like Florida's trying to get a piece of Connor when he enters the O-zone and then cheat towards Leon, which kind of stymied the Oilers last game. Systemically, Cass, what are you seeing from Florida in stymieing? Like Collingwood Rob brought up McDavid and Draisaitl. What could the Oilers do to tweak how they attack the Panthers to have some more success?
Yeah, well, that stymieing starts in the Oilers' defensive zone. And you hear from coaches frequently, good defense leads to good offense. And I think it follows true in this case where McDavid and Draisaitl, like how many times this series have we seen McDavid carry the puck from their own face-off dot into the neutral zone with speed and motion? Not very many times. And Draisaitl is the same thing where when they generally get teams on their heels, they usually are entering the offensive zone with a lot of speed and some space. Now, sometimes they're able to create outside of that, but that's when teams have to sit back because there's just too much speed. Now you're scrambling. Now all of a sudden you're never really set in your defensive zone. And then there's motion in the defensive zone. And if Edmonton wasn't able to generate anything off the rush, then it was my camera disappeared.
We can still hear you if that helps.
Yeah. You can hear me. I'll finish the thought because it's
completely
dark up there. And then I may have to plug it back in. But basically, the defensive zone for the Edmonton Oilers has not been clean enough. The defensemen, I do not think, have done enough of a job transitioning the puck to McDavid and Draisaitl with speed. That's at its root. I think that's the biggest thing. And then on top of that, Florida is a good defending team that checks hard, and it's Stanley Cup Finals. There's going to be a little bit of less space out there.
Yeah, it's the biggest point of the Florida Panthers game is that forecheck, their ability to slow things down. We saw, I think it was one part, Seth Jones come all the way in and mirror Connor, so he couldn't get enough speed up. Right, like that's how detailed this is. But and how do you break through that type of structure? It takes highly skilled distribution of puck from defense to forwards. And I also think that when they do and they can bring the puck up the ice, sometimes it is Connor Leon and they're the last guy carrying it up, but they're hitting the blue line and everyone else is there too. They're hitting the blue line. No one else has speed. So and that's what makes it so difficult, because the Panthers don't really allow 5 guys to come all the way up together because of their pressure. They make it very difficult to go tape to tape. In this case, I think one way to start breaking down those layers of defense is trying to come out of the zone as a 5-man unit, right? Not always a stretch play, stretch pass. So you're actually all coming through the neutral zone with some sort of speed. But at that point, you don't want guys standing at the blue line waiting. You want to keep going. So what happens when you hear, like, we want to get the puck deep? It has to be with purpose. And I think, and I know that the Edmonton Oilers are a puck possession team and they do not like to give the puck away, but I do think to just start maybe keeping the defensive structure of the Florida Panthers honest, productive puck placement behind their D and getting after it, because you were a forward checker at times and probably a very scary one. D-men didn't want to go back when they knew you were barreling down that side, right? So, and you'd start doing that, and what happens is D-men start going, I don't want to get hit by Cass anymore. They're dumping it in. I'm going to start backing off a little bit more to give me a little bit more time. And if they kind of play that, throw a little stunt here, dumping it in, going after it, you might get the spacing of the D-men from the blue line backing off, anticipating a dump and then you get more clean zone entries. So keeping them honest, keeping them off balance, I think with smart placement of dumps, keeping away from the goalie, obviously, and putting him in a place where you can go 50-50 with whoever the D-man is, I think you can start opening up a little bit more and creating more offense off the rush.
How much more difficult do you think that is? As I went to my backup camera, because I got to figure out.
You look great. Thank you to Hernan for popping in here.
Great sepia filter. I love your.
Yeah, we got to fix. Yeah. But how much does it hurt them then that Zach Hyman's not in the lineup?
Oh, huge.
Because with what you just talked about, was he not the best Edmonton Oiler at doing that? Like, where he was a dual threat in that way?
Definitely.
Yeah, without question. But you have to adapt because the guy's got a dislocated wrist, and teams persevere and find a way.
He can play with one arm, right? Just tie it to his.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. He's fine. He's good. Yeah, shoot him up with something. He'll be just fine. But yes, absolutely, it's a huge hole, and they do miss him, and the impact is felt. And I think as the series progresses, that's a guy that's like so consistent, and his game doesn't change. Like, he's clutch too. So, but you can't dwell on it. You got to adapt and move on, right? That's it. Okay. There was a text that said, guys, what did you think about the lineups? And so we've got a couple of tweaks here. We're going to get the boys' thoughts on the Oilers' lines heading into Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. Edmonton looking to even up the series. I've got the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show for you live at Hudson's Bourbon Street. Come join us. Myself, Hernan Salas, Matt Kassian will be along for the ride as well. Belzy says he's coming down, and Jasmine said she's going to come by. And there's always a good contingent of nasties. Steve and Adam and the crew at Hudson's Bourbon Street, fantastic, gracious hosts as always. All right, here's the lines from our dear friend Robert Bartholomew Stauffer. McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Connor Brown. Leon Draisaitl with Evander Kane and Kasperi Kapanen. Adam Henrique with Jeff Skinner. Looks like he'll make his Stanley Cup Finals debut. And Trent Frederick, and then Matthias Janmark between Vasily Podkolzin and Corey Perry. On defense, Kulak paired up with Bouchard. Darnell Nurse with Troy Stetcher, who will make his Stanley Cup Final debut. And then Matthias Ekholm with Jake Wallman. Skinner starts. We'll get to Skinner in a second when we get into the number cruncher side of things. But let's look at that lineup first. Joaquin, couple of insertions there, a couple of deletions. Skinner in, Arvidsson out, and then Stetcher in, Klingberg out. What stands out to you there?
Well, you see it in playoffs where coaches say we just get some fresh legs. Guys have been watching, waiting for a chance to get in there again. And I don't know why, but I'm interested to see Jeff Skinner in there. I mean, I
don't love it, but all right. Like if you're the coaching staff and you look at Viktor Arvidsson saying, you're not really giving us what we need. We're going to try something different. Okay. Cass, how do you look at that swap?
Yeah. I think it more has to do with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins than it does Viktor Arvidsson.
Okay. How so?
And the reason I say that is because you got a banged up Nuge. Mm-hmm. Nuge that's a little hurt right now. And I think if you're saying, okay, we don't know exactly on a day-to-day basis what we're going to get out of Nuge. We may need someone on the power play to fill in that spot. I kind of go, well, Jeff Skinner is a more likely candidate to fill on the power play in particular than Viktor Arvidsson. And Arvidsson hasn't been giving you that much. Like, he's had a couple okay games, but he hasn't been horrible. And I think that's the thought, is you're getting a little bit of a switch here. Mm-hmm. You have a backup plan, contingency plan. Like, if Nuge can't shoot, like if he can't shoot the puck, like if it's his wrist or hand or shoulder or elbow, whatever it is, we know it's upper body.
Wrist, guys. It is.
Yeah, but that was my assumption.
Yeah.
Because not taking draws. And so it's like, if he can't shoot the puck, you know, do I want Viktor Arvidsson in that spot or Evander Kane in that spot? Or am I going to go to Jeff Skinner, who is a perennial, and I know hasn't been fantastic in a lot of ways over the course of the season, but he's a guy that can score goals in the power play. So I think that, to me, is more what that decision is you might get some life with fresh blood, mm-hmm. You know, a guy that's going to be excited in the locker room, that's going to be fired up to go emotionally, that brings you up a couple notches that way. And then you have a little bit of a backup plan if Nuge can't even freaking shoot the puck because of his wrist.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys that can play over there. You got Kane. I like Skinner. He's scored in the playoffs, so I'm just going by
point a game guy in the playoffs.
Just going by what I've seen, and he finds those areas, and he gets the puck on net. He's scored in the past. There's a confidence that a goal scorer has, and look, it's if we're looking at just the physical play, I think that's what gives us pause, right? Because it is a physical series. How is he going to respond to those types of battles? One of the reasons why he was taken out of the lineup in the first place was the 50-50 battles weren't completely engaging. Mm-hmm. He was losing a lot of those. Mm-hmm. But saying that, watching these games, watching how the playoffs have progressed, I don't think you're going to get killer Jeff Skinner, but you're going to have a guy that probably competes as hard as he is capable of doing for those 50-50 battles. Okay,
more importantly, or more impactfully, could be this move on the back end with Troy Stecher going in for John Klingberg. Klingberg -3 last game, gets tied up with the official, Barkov hounding him, and then 2 seconds later the puck is in the back of the net. And that was a momentum killer too in that game. The Oilers had just made it 2-1, and that made it 3-1 a minute 20 later. Mm-hmm. Why, Cass, do you think Stetcher in for Klingberg is a benefit to this back end? Your take.
Well, he may be a little smaller, but I think Stetcher has shown the ability to have a little bit more edge in his game. And I think Klingberg, for as good as he was in the Dallas series, he's struggled a little bit. And I think he struggled underneath the immense pressure. And I know it runs into the official and falls, but that happened another game where he hasn't been able to deal well with the pressure of the Florida Panthers. And you're looking at that going, okay, we could continue to run, or we could put Stetcher in, who played incredibly well when he was in the lineup, who played incredibly well with Darnell Nurse, who has had an up and down series to a certain extent and may steady him out. So it's like we might get the steadying out of Darnell Nurse. We think Wallman's going to be okay. And, we can shift maybe Kulak around a little bit, or even if we need to shift Ekholm, whoever we move around the rest of it, we think he's going to calm down Darnell Nurse and give us a little bit more physicality from being able to withstand the type of pressure. And I think that's what you're looking at. Because if we look at Klingberg, his ability in the Dallas series to spin off of guys, to transition the puck, to beat the forecheck, as it were, in that series, he was able to do that consistently. And it was a huge benefit to the Oilers, but he struggled with it. this series. Now, I said this on the post-game show the other day when we talked, and we talked about who comes out, because Knoblauch was hinting at that, and we kind of said, well, on the defensive side, it probably is Klingberg, but I wouldn't be upset if he stayed in, and I also wouldn't be upset if he's out. And I'm kind of still in the same place where it's like I get why you're taking him out. I'm not upset about it. It's not like he's been absolutely horrible, but you're going for a little bit of a different look here. So I don't think you want to be upset about Stetcher going in. To me, it's like, okay, I get what they're doing with this. I understand why.
Joaquin, you talk about watching the Oilers in the first 5 minutes of a game, and you note that when they're moving the puck efficiently, specifically from the back end, it's a good indicator they're going to have a good game. Not just John Klingberg, but the Oilers as a whole in moving the puck early in games. Like, what have you seen from them? Where is it compared to other series?
The Florida Panthers make it so difficult, right? Like, they are on you right away. Communication has to be so at such a high level. You're playing chess as a defenseman, going up against the Florida Panthers. You have to be thinking with your back turned, where are my options to move this thing, right? You can't go back and just get the puck and start looking, because someone's going to bury their shoulder into your chest. You have to be playing 2 steps ahead. And I think, Stetcher has been the nurse whisperer. Really, when he's played with them, they have been a very successful tandem, and sometimes you just click with certain pairing. It's not that Stetcher can't move the puck. He moves it well, but there's gonna have to be really close support. You always get the defenseman pitching down and covering up from the winger. It's weird that the talk before the series was the Florida Panthers are vulnerable to odd man situations, even breakaways, just because how aggressive. And so getting that puck and little chips, getting it out and skating into those indirect areas with speed are key. But I think I feel I would be comfortable as an Oilers fan knowing that Stetcher's going in just because of the past performances he's had with Nurse.
You know what's funny is Bruce Boudreau was on the morning show with the guys, and he said that Luke Schenn was the Quinn Hughes whisperer.
Oh.
And I found that interesting, and I know Schen's a bigger, tougher defenseman, doesn't back down from anybody, but that unlocked prime Quinn Hughes. Yeah. According to Bruce Boudreau. And so it's funny how that works. Cass, did you ever have come across situations like that in your playing days where, one guy that's so unassuming kind of enabled another guy to reach his star potential?
Yeah. I mean, there's a number of them.
Methot with Carlson.
Methot with Carlson was a huge part of it. That was the initial one that jumped into my mind. That being said, Carl was really good already, but it just, Meth at that time brought out the best in Erik Karlsson, and Meth. The funny thing about Meth in general, Meth treat as we used to call him, is Mark Methot. I think he had another level in his game that, from a career standpoint, I don't think he ever really got to expose or show. But he just, when he was with Carl, he knew the type of game he had to play, and it just enabled Karlsson to go play. And just to do it. And so he would sit back a little bit, take less risks, but play that just steady defensive game, and then throw an occasional massive hip check because he was beautiful at those. But yeah, there are just some players that just benefit. And you see it on forward groups too. Yeah. You see it with forwards where centermen and wingers sometimes having that player just assist the guy in his ability to be the best version of whatever player he is. And that's probably the easiest example I have of that. Like Ryan Suter, who's still playing, who's been around for a really long time. He was in one of those defensemen now, but I would say it wasn't just one guy. It's he could play with a lot of different guys where he was really able to bring out the best in them. And it's just there's so many things that I think factor into that. So and I was listening to that this morning. It was a great point by Boudreau, and that you have players that do that, and Stetcher in these playoffs seem to be that for Darnell Nurse, and hopefully heading into tonight it continues and we see peak Nurse.
I stand by this. Tommy Salo does not become a back-to-back NHL All-Star without Joaquin Gage.
Absolutely.
I was big in the room.
Huge. Huge. The yin
even bigger in Japan,
yang.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's get into Number Crunchers, brought to you by Playa Alberta. You can skip the flight to Vegas because the sportsbook is just a tap away. Experience the thrill right from your phone with Playa Alberta. Download the app today. Deposit $20 using the EST exclusive promo code EST Sports for a $50 free bet. That's EST Sports, all caps. Number Crunchers has to do with goaltending, and we're going to look at Stu Skinner, Mr. Game 4. You guys, his stats are unbelievable in Game 4. He has a penchant for getting better as series go on, and we're getting into the nitty-gritty of this series. I do think it's going to go deep. Stu Skinner, 6-0, 1.26 GAA, 955 save percentage with 2 shutouts in 6 Game 4s. Does he improve it to 7-0 with a sterling performance? Joaquin, our resident goalie, please, you take the floor here.
Nothing shows me that he's not. It kind of lines up perfectly too to get motivated by a subpar game going into the game that you'll have a lot of history of success. No, it's what has Stuart Skinner shown us over these last few years? His ability to bounce back. Mm-hmm. I think everyone's worried more about the consistency, but he has shown that in the past, after a bad game, and even I believe at the part of the season where he was showing like those games where he's coming back, his numbers were great. Now, team has to be better too. You can't just rely. You can't. I don't think Stuart Skinner can goalie the Florida Panthers. He's going to need everyone pulling on the same chain. But I really do think he's going to have a really solid game. Will he have the same types of numbers? I don't know, but you're going to get the best Stuart Skinner possible tonight. Through
3 games, Cass, do you buy that with Stuart Skinner? Can he get back there, or is he far gone? And people are right. Go to Calvin Pickard, the ones that were clamoring for it post game when we were doing the show the other night.
Oh, how long we got?
As much time as you want, Cass.
As much time as we want. On what grounds did people even really consider pulling Stuart Skinner out of the lineup? Like, we could look at multiple angles. Look at him from Game 4 on in series, where he's been historically consistently fantastic late in series, which is where we're at. Guy's got 3 shutouts. Mm-hmm. He had the identical save percentage to Sergei Bobrovsky heading into last game. And anyone that pins that last game on Stuart Skinner and says the reason that the Oilers lost was Stuart Skinner, I don't know what hockey game you were watching. I don't know what analytics you were looking at. I don't know where you were making those determinations that that's who was at fault, aside from you have this sickness inside of you. It's like it's a disease and a psychological symptom that manifests itself in such manner. And we call it the Skinner scapegoat syndrome, where they are just incapable of seeing anything else, where it's just like they're looking for something. Remember when we talked about Leon and McDavid, and that, the dopamine and neuroepinephrine in people's brains, like that mild frustration?
Yes.
Is people love going to that, and people latch onto things for that. And so what these people with the Stewart's or the Skinner scapegoat syndrome have latched onto is that they try to justify in their own minds the dopamine that they get from thinking that Stuart Skinner's the problem. Stuart Skinner's the problem. Stuart Skinner's the problem. Stuart Skinner's the problem. This would all be fixed if Stuart Skinner's the problem, because Stuart Skinner's is the problem. Like, it's such a horrible assumption of so many things. So, Tom, when you say, well, does he have it? Can he get back to it? It's like, well, he had one game where, was he not great? No, he wasn't great. The whole team was worse in front of him.
Yeah.
So, it's just asinine to me that you have a guy that has pitched shutouts, that has won you series, and then you're like one average game and you're just ready to run him out of town, and trade him for a bag of pucks and start Calvin Pickard, where I'm just like, it's so ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous to me. Now, if Stuart Skinner goes out and has a horrible game tonight and plays absolutely awful, well, then you have one game left, and yeah, you're probably going to make a switch.
Correct.
But into tonight, like, I don't know. It's just you're telling him you have no faith in him. You're telling the team you have no faith in them, and it just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, I haven't looked at the nasty chat. I'm probably getting shredded, but you know what? That's fine. Shred me all you want. I know that it's just the SSS going, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. So
JCD says, okay, well, Calvin Pickard is 6-0. You know you're going to get that. And that's a fact. That is a fact. Calvin Pickard is 6-0, but it's listen, you knew they were going back to Stu Skinner. They're going to allow him a chance to bounce back like the rest of the team. I knew my answer prior to asking the question, but I had to ask it because it's being discussed and people want to know, and the team got shellacked. And when that happens, it creates these questions and dilemmas, and people want to chew on it. So I had to go there, and that was for Number Crunchers, brought to you by Play Alberta. All right, boys, we have a couple of texts we can get to, and we also are going to get to Hire It or Fire It, brought to you by GS Construction. This was a fun one. We're going to go a little bit outside of the Stanley Cup Final, and we'll start with this one because Chris Kreider has been traded to Anaheim. Will the Ducks be good next year? Hire it or fire it, Joaquin?
That's a great question. Do they get the Q bump?
Because they were plucky.
They were
this year.
They've got some young guys. The only thing that I don't know why it gives me pause is Quenneville. What is he, 70?
He's an older gentleman.
An older guy. Has the gap widened too much to communicate with the young players? That's the only thing I think about, but he's proven to be a great coach and had a lot of success. Kreider's he's not, I don't think he's 50 goal scorer Kreider if he goes to Anaheim.
He's 34.
34? The trade is done.
Went through today, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they're going to be better for sure. They've got some guys that have had success, but I think they're just still plucky.
Plucky, yeah, they're a bunch of jerks to play against. Cass, what say you? Hire it or fire it?
I feel like I need to establish our terms here. Like, what do we mean by good?
Playoff contention. How about
playoff contention?
Equals good, yeah. I'm
going to fire it. They're not there yet. They're not there yet. One more year, and then they'll get there. One more year, and they'll get there. Kreider helps. Like you would really help. It really does help with a young forward group, and you do have some good young forwards, some good young players. I think another year. I think one more year. So no, I'm going to fire it.
Okay. The price for Kreider was a prospect going back the other way. Carey Terrence is who's going to the New York Rangers, if you're wondering about that trade. Okay, hire it or fire it, guys. Mitch Marner jerseys are on sale in Toronto. Jasmine pointed it out earlier today. Is that a further sign he's leaving, or is it just coincidence?
His jerseys
are on sale in Toronto.
Sale?
Yeah. Hire it or fire it. That means he's leaving. There's more evidence he's leaving.
Well, if you're Marner, you're waiting to see what's out there, and I think he'll be enticed to leave.
He's gone.
Much better. He's gone.
He's gone. So
he's
gone. Both hiring.
Hire it. Hire it. It's. I don't want to say it's fuel of the fire, but it's circumstantial. It's like if someone gets murdered, and it's like you have someone that's standing in the room, and maybe they're not holding the knife, but they got blood on their hands. And, the knife is at their feet, and like, there are all those sorts of things, like this circumstantial evidence surrounding is like, may not have seen the person do it, but pretty reasonable to suspect that they did it. That's kind of where we're at with this. It's like, how's the saying go? Where there's smoke, there's fire, which isn't always the case in a lot of situations, especially around rumors and hockey and sports and trades and all that. But for this, it's like there's a lot of smoke. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of smoke. So it's most likely he's gone.
I like Jasmine bringing that one up earlier today. That was a good one. Thank you, Jazzy, for that one. All right, last one for Hire It or Fire It, brought to you by GS Construction. Connor Hellebuyck, Vezina plus Hart Trophy leak photo. Leaked photo. He's like by a lake, very casual. And he's got the Vezina and the Hart Trophy by his side. It is making the rounds on social media. If true, is he deserving of both? Hire it or fire it, Joaquin Gage.
Yeah, he is. but he would have traded all those in for a chance to play for the Stanley Cup, I believe. They're the nice little paperweights at the end of the day. Something that you look back on years, decades from now and say, hey, I accomplished something special. But let's face it, the ones that matter, they're regular season trophies, which are great, but the real ones come after Game 82.
I like it. Cass, hire it or fire it, deserving of both.
Yeah, I think so. Pretty hard for me to come up with an argument against it. Vezina, absolutely, without question, on the Vezina for the year.
Yep.
Hart Trophy, I mean, you can make good arguments for some other guys with the Hart Trophy too. You really could. But I'm not going to sit and say I can't believe he won it. If indeed he did, I wouldn't be upset with it. So yeah, he's deserving. He's deserving of both of them. Obviously, not the success they wanted in the playoffs, but as far as the regular season awards go, which is what these are, he is deserving of.
Well said, boys. A couple of texts to wind things down. Big Dave says, I'm in favor of keeping Stu in, but if he goes and lets 2 quick ones in tonight, do you put them on a short leash and yank him? Yes? Short leash?
It depends on the goals. I mean, if they're 2 backdoor tap-ins, I don't know if you'd take him out.
That's not his fault.
No, because if they were backdoor tap-ins,
right.
Calvin Pickard moves laterally fast enough to bend time and space.
There it is.
I do believe it depends on the type of goals.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay. Mark says, give it to him, Cass. Scott in a hotel balcony in Beaumont says, do you guys think Skinner's a problem in this series? No, I think we went over that. And then LGO says, must win, hoping for an all-around solid effort. K-Town says, Josh from K-Town says, remember when Derek Roy was the Nail Yakupov whisperer? Yes, I do remember that as well. Good show, boys. Zach to come. What's coming up on EST Afternoons with Gager and Hernan Salas?
Lots of discussion regarding the Oilers lineup changes. Troy Stetcher in, Jeff Skinner in as well. We have Michael Tracos from the Hockey News to talk about the game. Inside the numbers for Play Alberta and everybody's favorite Red Light District with Gager there as well. But lots of Oilers-Panthers discussion. Should be a good one.
Hernan just gave me sexy eyes. I think he's frisky and ready to go for this show.
Sexy eyes.
Oh, yeah. Cass, you're going to be back for the pregame show and the postgame show, right?
Absolutely.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Gager, thank you so much for having me
Thank
today.
you, Tom.
Thank you, sir. Have a fantastic show. That's going to do it for 2 Guys and a Goalie, brought to you by GS Construction. For Joaquin, for Coob, for Cass, I'm Tom saying stay tuned. EST Afternoons is next. I'll be back for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Ciao for now.